speaker wires, and sometimes they go haywire. I mean, so you might see me reaching down my foot or something trying to move it. So I gotta get that fixed.
Hi, Jonathan.
I started this one.
Carl, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yep.
Fine, thank you.
Staying warm?
Actually, just coming in from skating on the pond that we have here, so it's pretty fun.
Oh, nice.
Hello,
Hello, Esther.
how are you? How is everybody? Good.
Very good.
It was good.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you. You're welcome.
You see the positivity rate, I think it's down to 2.17 or something like that. The COVID, I know, we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I see everything that I see. I see everything, but I don't want to put all the logos.
Oh, yeah.
I think everyone's good except Howard and Norton. We have enough to. We have a quorum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So why don't I read through the required, what I have to read through, and do that before we do the roll call. Because I see we have 5 people on here. Good evening, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the West Hartford Prevention Council. Welcome. The meeting will come to order. This is Carl Shields, Chair of the West Hartford Prevention Council. I'd like to welcome you to the virtual February 11th meeting of the council, because in-person attendance of public meetings is likely to increase the risk of transmission of COVID-19. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order B, which permits municipalities to conduct public meetings virtually. Commission members and some town staff are participating by WebEx, and members of the public can access this meeting by calling 1-408-418-9388 and using access code 132-947-8725. Because of the virtual format, there are some special rules and procedures that I need to cover before we begin. These are for all the commission meetings. First, I ask that all participants please mute your devices when you are not speaking. If you wish to be recognized, please raise your hand and I will call on you. If you are participating via audio only, or I do not call on you and the debate is ending, please unmute your phone and let me know so that I can recognize you. Second, pursuant to Executive Order 7B, all speakers must state their name and title each time they speak. Third, because of the difficulty in tallying voice votes on a video conference, I will require that votes be taken by roll call. Fourth, I would like to describe how the hand-raising process will work. Unfortunately, our conference technology does not allow us to identify individual caller by name. So when the public comment portion of the meeting begins, which is near the very end, the moderator will randomly unmute one caller line at a time and ask everyone to state their name on at a time. The voice that we hear will belong to the person whose line is unmuted. That person will then be recognized by the moderator and asked to restate their name and provide their street address. We will repeat this process until we have unmuted every phone line. It is very important that you state your name each time you are prompted by the moderator. If the moderator unmutes a phone line and does not hear a voice after the prompt, that phone line will be removed from the conference. I will now call the roll. Okay. Patricia did email me and she is ill this evening. She will be unable to attend. Howard, are you here? No, okay. Kadzo?
Present.
Great. Brenda?
Present.
Good evening. Jonathan?
Present.
Hello. Nordia? Okay, not here. Bob Macca?
Here.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. We have a quorum then. So this meeting will come to order. First order of business is approval of the minutes of January 14th, last month. As I am assuming folks have read those minutes. Nice job, Jonathan, as always, very comprehensive. There was an extraordinary amount that we talked about last month, my goodness. Very chatty group. But great job on minutes. I really want to commend you on that. Were there any amendments or revisions or comments on those? And if not, could I have an order to accept the minutes as written?
Motion to accept. Bob Macca. Yeah, Bob Macca.
Okay, okay, could I have a second?
This is Brenda McEwen. I second the motion.
Okay. I'm sorry, who was that seconding?
Brenda McEwen.
Okay, so, could I hear from the other folks, all else in favor, Kadzo?
In favor.
Okay, and Jonathan?
In favor.
Okay, and myself in favor. I think I got everybody, right? Yes, okay, cool. All right, they're accepted. And we'll move on to old business. Well, let me tell you, it seems like new business to me. It's taking up a great deal of time. Where do I begin? Well, maybe I'll begin by the introduction of the two UConn students who are on the call this evening with us. And I know I've talked about this as a possibility on our last call, and that I had been working with the professors at University of Connecticut about getting an
Now I need to see if by doing that, I messed up. I did.
My name's Brianna Pintarelli. I'm in my last semester of my master's in public health at UConn, like Carl said. I am just getting my MPH. I'm a student as a dual degree student, but so right now, like I said, I'm working on my last semester, so practicum's a part of it. And as soon as I saw this location and this opportunity, I was very excited. Overall, because of the mental health implications that I see a lot of just in my day-to-day life. That I really would like to become more of an advocate for myself. So I was very excited to see this opportunity, and we've had a few meetings. We've met quite a few different people over the last, I would say, week or two. But it's been really good. It's been nice getting to know all of you so far, and I look forward to working with everybody. And yeah. You're on mute, Carl.
Great. Thank you, Brianna, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow morning.
Yes, same to you. Thanks.
Okay, and our other student is Suleiman Sabiola, a joint, I guess, MD and MPH student from UConn. Suleiman, could you introduce yourself to the group, please?
Hello everyone, it's very nice to meet everybody. My name is Suleiman Abiola. Like Carl said, I am an MD MPH student. I'm going to be graduating from medical school in 2022. I'll be going into family medicine. I echo all of Brianna's sentiments. I'm really excited to be on this project. It's awesome to be able to be actually being hands first and getting a hands-on experience doing actual public health work. And I worked with some nonprofits in the past, but this is my first time working with a government entity. So that's definitely something that I hope to do in the future as a family-based community physician. And so I'm definitely looking forward to working with you guys more, and in any way that we can kind of help move this project along, I'm totally on board.
Great. Thank you, Suleiman. Forward to seeing you tomorrow. Yes, Astrid.
I would like to introduce somebody else that is in the group. It's our new student from Eastern Connecticut State University. She's today here observing one of the groups, this as a group that we social services participate. So Shailene, I don't want to put you in the spot, but if you wanted to say something, you can unmute yourself quickly and introduce yourself as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Shailene. I'm a student at Eastern Connecticut State University, and I am excited for this meeting, and thank you for having me, and thank you, Astrid, for letting me know to sit in and watch over this as well.
Welcome. And I see Howard has joined us. Good evening, Howard. Let me just kind of give you an update on the Community Wellness Coalition and what has happened so far. Several things have happened. I gave individual orientations to each of the individual students. They have had an orientation to social services by the West Hartford Town Hall social services staff. So they know, oriented to all the policies and procedures and what is and what isn't, and gotten a map and a directory of phone numbers and know what's what in town hall. So that was a wonderful thing that our social services department did for them. Also, I have met with them individually for supervision, and last Friday met with them jointly for supervision to ensure that I said the same thing to each of them, and also that there's congruence in terms of what the project is, where we're heading, and that there's no split in terms of what the goals and objectives are for this wellness project. and if there are, that we can talk about them and resolve them at the onset. Also set a tentative goals and objectives, which they were initially outlined in the paperwork that I had to fill out for UConn over that winter break and send to UConn. But also, I think when I talk a little bit later about recommendations to town council, that's what I put in, recommendations to town council. They were all around this wellness project, because it's really taken up so much of my time that the majority of the recommendations were around this. So you'll hear about those later. The early pieces of what we're working on currently are development of an early questionnaire for stakeholders. That really came from a suggestion Suleiman had, which was a wonderful suggestion, because I had asked them to work on drafting an email to the stakeholders. Helen had put together a wonderful list of people she thought would be helpful to contact within the system of care to get information. Melissa Hickey, Tor Fisk, Ari Steinberg, Nicholas Sanford, Joseph Hopkins, Chris Dutton, etc. So these two students will be contacting you for additional information, data, etc. But I thought it would be very helpful. Helen and I talked today or yesterday, I guess it was yesterday, about the students having a meeting or communication with her in town hall. So if there's any details or barriers for the communication or sort of things that could expedite that happening, to make that happen quickly, because we're working on a very quick timeline here. And as you'll hear later, the mid-semester report to this group will be March 11th. That's our next meeting. That's coming up quickly, because as I've said to this group from the beginning, this is not my life's work, and it shouldn't be this council's life work, and the end point is the May meeting. So we're in February, March, April, May. The clock's a ticking. So just to bring that to your folks' attention, and I feel like a bit of a taskmaster with the students on this, but I want to be clear that they have a very limited time. It's 135 hours for their semester apiece, and it's broken down into 12 weeks. So we have to be very focused on what they're doing, how they're doing it, what the deliverables are to this group. So this initial product that I'll be talking about with the students tomorrow is we're looking at initial templates for this community wellness report. What will it look like? Because there's hundreds of them. What will be included? What will be excluded? And we have to begin winnowing it down. Even at this point, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be excluded from the core report, and they're going to be pushed back to the index of the report. The town council or this council may have an interest in accessing those links that the students will have well, this is how I envision it anyway, accessing those links in the index because of their particular area of interest or for whatever reason. That's all well and good, but we can't have all that information in the core report. So it's going to be as important what we exclude and how you access that as what we include. So it's going to be looking at the templates as the initial tasks for the students and myself, as well as the survey questions for the stakeholders. And I'm going to be working on that with Helen, Astrid, and Jackie. Because I think you are the stakeholders, really, as well as the community members, but you represent so many people in the community also. That's kind of how we're envisioning this process.
Carl, this is Helen Rubino Turco, Director. Did you want to just identify some of the other people that are on your subcommittee so that everybody knows
Yeah.
the depth of that group?
Yes, I will. Let me see. Jackie Zia Edgar, as the staff liaison, is on that subcommittee. Jean Schenchel, West Hartford resident and past chair of this group, is on that subcommittee. Natalie De La Cruz is on that subcommittee. Brooks McConnell is on that subcommittee, and Carol Waxman from the West Hartford Public Library, and Rosina Haskins. I don't have her technical title. I know she does the learning project at the school and equity advancement project, but I don't know her technical title. Those are the members of the subcommittee, and by extension, these are 2 new students who will be working so closely with everybody on the subcommittee. I think that covers kind of the bare bones of what the subcommittee has been working on in the since our last council.
Paul, it's Nordia. Rosina's title is Director of Equity Advancement for the West Hartford Public School District.
Oh, okay. Oh, I wanted to mention also that the 2 students from UConn have direct, and I mean very, very, very direct link to the 2 professors that we had initial contacts with about this process. And I remember when I distributed that behemoth of a document last summer, before the summer, and said, oh, I know you're going to want to read all this. And it had all that DEMIS language that was overwhelming and all those acronyms, and the portal language, the state epidemiological outcomes work group that was the portal for, I don't know, 45 state organizations, and the data from all those organizations, and particularly 6 primary reports that I thought would be particularly of interest to this group. Well, these 2 students work with those 2 people who are experts on that. So that's going to be really, really helpful. So they can get this information quickly. I went in and looked and felt so stupid, so stupid. So I'm really, really thrilled that they're going to be able to do this so quickly. That's about what I know and what's happened so far with this process. So it's, I think, going as great. The only other item is an email that came today from a physician at UConn from the oral well, you saw it, Jackie, too, the regarding the emerging oral and cancer factors in he is interested in doing a study in West Hartford, and I can forward this. I think it fits perfectly with the Abilify grant. Astrid, you want to fill in?
So this is Astrid Calderon, Manager of Social Services. this, this came from UConn. It's one of the doctors that it's encouraging the residents to do more community work. And they decided that vaping will be the topic for them. Since they are more located in West Hartford and one of the doctors have children in that school, they decided to start a proposition, about vaping education, and they also are tying that with some other professionals in the medical model about the consequences of vaping, basically other doctors. And they wanted to join us as part of the Amplified Grant. So we can talk about that. It could be one of the activities. Seems to be that it might fit well. We just need to talk up with them about that and be able to match it with the objectives of the grant, which is the Local Prevention Council grant. And we can include that. And that's the proposition that we receive, basically.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Dr. Karush Parham, the program director of the otolaryngology head neck surgery residency program at UConn School of Medicine. And he has 2 children at Conard and wants to explore contacts with King Philip, Sedgwick, and the other schools.
I like that idea, Ms. Meridia. Astrid, does the grant include possibly training community facilitators to have conversations about this? Because I participated in the conversation yesterday about Unity Green, and students from Hall and Connor were trained by the UConn Down Center to lead these conversations along with adults in the community. And Rosina Haskins put that together for a bunch of us to learn how to facilitate and to be available to have certain conversations in the community. And the students were a big part of it, and they led these conversations after only be trained in 2 weeks. So I thought it would be great to have a community conversation led by some students about vaping. And maybe the message would ring clearer if students could participate. And even if students, it wasn't set up for students to participate, but if students led it and parents participated and other community stakeholders, because it was open to anyone in the community, just hearing from the youth voices might speak volumes, and then they could train their other friends. But it's just a thought to use some of that money to train future leaders and to just open it up to a more broader conversation with the community.
This is Astrid Calderon from Social Services. We were planning to discuss the Local Prevention Council grant in the next topic, but I would like Carl to finish everything about the community evaluation assessment, and then we can talk about it. And the short answer for that, Noria, is yes. But I would like Carl to finish, and then I can talk about very specific, and we can include that, Noria.
I really am finished with this, the community wellness part, unless people have questions, comments, suggestions for me or for the students, or are we going in the right direction, do you think? What are we missing, or?
This is Astrid. I think we are in the right direction. We just need to start and continue to meet. I'm happy to also participate in any meeting with that committee and see how much time we will be able to use and then or have available to complete the many topics within the community assessment. My only concern is that we have the grant that we have to also fulfill, and that's my only concern. And we're kind of playing with the two major tasks at this point right now. Other than that, I think it's just a matter of starting and moving forward.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Well, and it's such a broad and amorphous, in a way, topic that's why I think having something concrete for the March meeting will be much more helpful for this prevention council to look at. And then we'll say yes, no, good, go ahead, stop. It'll be easier to talk about. Okay, then Astrid, you want to go ahead with the wellness?
So, Astrid Calderon from Social Services Manager. Jackie and I prepared something to discuss today. It's something that we have been talking about not only this year, but previous years. This is something that Joe Kalash, was working on. We did it last year. This is about the local prevention grant, okay? But the main key point that we wanted to remind, and also for the benefit of the new people that are here, is that the town of West Hartford Social Services applied for the local prevention grant from Amplify, which is part of DMAS, on behalf of the West Hartford Prevention Council. That primary role, we do have two roles in this group. We are the local prevention council as well. This grant this year was approved for the 2021. The funds are in the budget, ready to be used. They have been ready for basically half of the year, and now we have basically 6 months. And the goal is to complete the task on June 30, 2021. In order for me to provide a little bit of background, basically the Connecticut Department of Mental Health work with all the regional behavioral health action organizations, basically 150 community based local prevention councils. This is groups like us. That's why we have different roles within the group. Okay, so we also are fulfilling another role here, and this is something that in the past have been confusing. We are calling ourselves the West Hartford Prevention Council, which is a commission from the town, but we also act, and we have a double role. We are the local prevention council for the Department of Mental Health. Okay, so that's why we have access to that grant. The amount of the grant is $7,000, $141 with 55 cents. This is the money, for example, that you guys know that we have used for multiple actions in the past. One example is the Safe Grad activity that in the past Connor and Hall did every year for the seniors in order to prevent them going and intoxicating themselves or engaging in other negative activities during the party, etc. You guys know about that. This year, based on the data provided by the Department of Mental Health, they decided that the goals of the grant were going to change, and they changed. It's all about preventing vaping, okay? The rate that they are proposing is to prevent by 2025, 5%. And the target group is 12 to 18 years old. So the secondary goal is increase public awareness of substance abuse prevention. So all of these strategies that they present are based on a prevention framework model that it's comprised by 5 elements, okay? A needs assessment, a capacity building, planning, implementing evidence-based strategies, monitoring and evaluation, and also accounts for cultural sensitivity and being sustainable. So this is basically the requirements. I know that it might be a lot, but if you guys have a question, you guys can interrupt me now, or I can keep going. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So basically, we wanted to remind all of you, not only that we need to complete the community assessment, but we have to be able to do some actions here. And the first point that we wanted to make sure that we discuss briefly is that this group, it's going to be able to provide recommendations to the town council, but we need to make decisions about the local prevention council grant activities to spend that grant money. Okay. So when Jackie and Carl met with Amplify, they are happy that we are having these two identities. There's no problem with them to be, this type of group and having these two identities. Okay. So it's fine with them. The next step will be to just make sure with the town clerk and the town that it is okay to have this double identity of being the local prevention council and doing activities like this. Okay, that's the first point that we wanted to remind. It's in the back of our heads as a little concern, but not much. The second point is that we need to satisfy these educational requirements from the grant. Okay, so we can do all these activities about vaping. These activities, we have mentioned that resource that it was just presented a few days ago, but Jackie have developed suggestions for activities because they also split the activities in different categories. In other words, we cannot do everything. There's certain things that we have to do. One of them, and I think Jackie mentioned this before, was engaging with the West Hartford Board of Education to do a presentation, not a presentation, to do some sort of educational presentation that target vaping and that the West Hartford Board of Education will accept and we can fund. Okay, so Jackie have been in touch with Rosina Hasking. The prevention vaping expert, if I'm not mistaken, Jackie, and you can correct me, is Joseph Hopkins. We heard some of you when say that Amanda Martin and also our other SRO. Is Joseph one of our experts or he is an SRO? Jackie.
He's an SRO at Conard.
Yes.
And I'm not too sure if he was the expert who was named as a.
No, he's not.
He's not?
No, he's not. So what we were trying is to bring the expert recommended by Amplify and have Joseph and Amanda as a supplement for this presentation that they will be able to share the West Hartford actions, West Hartford data. What are the things that are really happening in school? So that was one of the proposals. It's in the making. And I think Nordia, this is when we incorporate some of the students that can be part of it. So it's right now in the making. We need to move forward, but we also think that it should not be only for the West Hartford Public School. So we should be able to invite other schools, private schools. And we also thought that through the libraries, this can be a virtual presentation that can be presented to the community as well. So that's one of the things that we're trying to put together. Jackie, if you wanted to add something at this point with this first point, just jump ahead.
This is Jacqueline Cia Edgar, social worker and staff liaison. I just wanted to say that I am in talks with Rosina, just in terms of presenting her with the details. And she has come back and kind of anticipated some of the questions that principals might have. So I have contacted the presenter of this workshop. It would be in a virtual format that students could kind of log into. And I am in contact with the presenter because she had specific questions, just anticipating some of the thoughts that principals might have in regards to the workshop. Okay, and once I get that information together, I will be able to present that to Rosina, and then, we'll take it from there. It's not the only path that we have. Let's say that West Hartford Public Schools are just very busy with everything that is going on with remote learning. We may utilize the West Hartford Public Library as a platform where students can, or youth can access this workshop. And so we have different paths is what I'm saying. Okay, thank you.
You're muted, Astrid.
Realize that. Okay, so the third point that I wanted to discuss is about incorporating vaping in the community wellness assessment. So you probably have discussed that, Carl, with the two students, maybe not, but we were hoping that we can use or try to figure it out how do we can integrate the grant with the assessment and gather data about that for West Hartford. We can continue to talk about that later, and that might fulfill one of the grant objectives. Okay. Any questions for me about that?
No, the only thing I wonder also is the governor's budget included proposed legislation to ban flavored cigarettes and vaping in Connecticut. When that would, I don't know, but how would that impact all of them? I don't know.
That's great that you remembered that is an important activity. I remember Jane Central talking about this with other initiatives through the years and within the government. I remember multiple initiatives or trials to stop this, to stop that. I don't know if Jane, you wanted to comment on that. Okay.
I'm sorry, I was muted. I've been watching the legislation as well. I think the legislation is proposed, but it's not always passed immediately. I'm sure that the legislation around flavored tobacco is mostly focused on menthol. So we have to see how it actually relates to the flavors in vaping. There's also the question of marijuana in vaping. So there will be again discussion around marijuana, the new marijuana bill. So I think it's important for education purposes to follow, but I don't think is going to affect anything this year. That's my take on it.
If I may, this is Madeline Gilchrist, Conard student representative. I just wanted to say quickly that State Representative Jillian Gilchrist is hosting an event for the it's like in sponsorship of the flavor ban bill, and it's February 18th at 7 p.m. It's with tobacco-free kids. I'm actually one of the panelists, which is why I'm bringing it up, and I'm going to be talking about the work that we're doing in the community assessment. But I just want to say, because that is directly related to the flavor ban, and that's basically what it's about. Once I get a public link, I'll be able to share it, but I just wanted to let you all know what's happening.
Great. So I thank you for that two comments, because when we received the last email from the doctors from UConn, I thought about a possibility of adding not only vaping, but also other type of substances that are exposed by inhalation, like marijuana and nicotine cigarettes. So since they are following the medical model and they are attached with the specialty doctors of the whatever nose and throat, maybe they can add all of them in their interventions. So that was a thought that I was entertaining when I was reading their proposal. moving forward, the last activity, it's about us, basically. One of the topics to also fulfill the grant is that they are proposing more education for stakeholders and people from the community. They're proposing that we should bring an expert also to this group to talk specifically about vaping. That doesn't mean that we don't have experts in this group, because I have been here when some of you have, educated us about vaping. I remember Jane Chencho and other team members or council members last year. But this is one of the activities that they're also proposing. Jackie, I don't know if you wanted to have a conclusion on the grant, but the grant have very specific targets. And in order to use the money and move forward and provide and produce an activity, we need to move a little bit faster as well. I'm sorry that sounds like pressuring, but we have been talking about it. And one of the major barriers that we are having is the formation of a coalition that can move from one target to the other. So this is something that hopefully we can work out and can in the future to continue to do the actions, okay, and talk about actions and split like the same way that we're doing with the community assessment. Questions for us about the grant, people that are willing to participate or add or be the ones leading one of these projects. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if Jackie or Carl talk about this with the people from Amplify, but I will hate to have to return the money back to Amplify if we don't achieve all of these actions on time. So any questions for us? I'm happy to answer whatever I'm aware.
This is Helen Rubino Turco. And Carl, I think, Astrid is spot on about including something about this in the wellness assessment. And I think it falls clearly under the area of substance abuse and access to prevention programs under that. So I think it should be a fairly easy lift to get that included, the information included. And obviously, Jay Schenchel has done a lot of research, so that might be, the information that has been done in the past, particularly by the Prevention Partnership before, could be either referenced or incorporated in some way. So thank you, Astrid, for that suggestion.
Okay. Yes.
So if I could just say something, there is some evidence that that vaping is connected to stress and, if I remember correctly, depression, but not to other mental health problems. But the fact that it's connected to stress, so, tobacco and stress go hand in hand. So I think it's an easy fit. And I suggest that the group of students working on it have a look at the data and see how you can make it fit into that needs assessment, whatever the topic is. Astrid, I wonder if you could put into the chat just the goals of the Amplify grant. I just thought it might help all to remember them.
I rather, instead of my own draft that I wrote today for this meeting, I rather send you the proposed actions from the grant itself, because it's so specific that we cannot move on from out of. So we have this amount of money, we have the topics, and we chose those two, but we can move things around. So how about, and I'm asking permission to the chair to see if we can send this as an additional email addendum by email. It can be done pretty soon as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you. It'd be really helpful.
And it's also helpful to note that Nick Sanford has been following this in the legislature and has put a bunch of notes in the chat about the rules around what's being proposed and what effect that might have and what the times what the time frame is.
Okay. All right.
So my last comment is, who is willing to work with me and Jackie to kind of make this a reality? We don't, I hate to say it, but we don't have much time to think too much about what to do, because they're giving us what we need to do, what we have to do. So whoever, it's basically a subcommittee, and everything is intertwined at this point. So it's not that we are doing, interconnected, not connected stuff. We are very connected. So I'm happy to create a little bit of group of the grant so we can work around this. The intention is not to create more work for us. And we did it. We did it last year with multiple barriers. I remember we did the prevention week. We did other activities that with a group of people, we were able to move very, very fast. Thank you.
Just Astrid, I think with Dr. Parham, because they have very specific April deadlines, and in that document references a text-based, evidence-based program related to vaping, and which is measurable. So there may be ways to have the students work with him and his residents to get data that will be helpful to exactly what you're talking about. There may be win-wins in this.
And there is a portion for data collection in the grant, but there's also a portion of intervention. That's the part that is more concerned to us, because it's a macro project that we're a little bit scared.
Yes, the intervention is built into that proposal also. Okay.
What is it that you need help with? It sounds like you're working with Rosina already on getting something together, so is that something that's not needed?
With Rosina, what we're doing is trying to connect, trying to present to the West Hartford Board of Education what is available. We as a fund source, and this source of intervention, the educational person that will be, and how we can do it. So she needs to know all of that in order to say, yes, we can do it. But we are anticipating that, it's February, it's multiple issues with the school. So we would like to work with you, Nordia. Is that what you're trying to do? Because you have also an input from the JRB perspective and also the PTOs. So to see what will be the outcome of this, tryout or attempt, basically.
Well, that's why I brought up what happened yesterday. I don't know how they got the grant. You would have to ask Rosina that, but they had a grant with the Dodd Center to train some students as well as community stakeholders, and not all connected to PTO somewhere. The town historian Tracy did it. It was different people, and we were trained for 2 weeks by the staff from the Yukon Dock Center on how to facilitate conversations in the community. And the conversation we facilitated yesterday was Unity Green and how it got its name changed. So I'm just wondering if something like this, since it was such a quick turnaround, could be a way to fulfill the education piece. Particularly
it might be.
School can't do something particularly if they can't carve out time in the school day. So that's why I was saying you may want to ask Rosina about how they got that grant, because maybe if we have enough funds, the Dodd Center staff could train people. And it was during the evening, and and then they're on standby for further conversations that need to be held in the community. And it's open to everyone in West Hartford, not just.
Yeah, no, I will talk to her, but remember, it's 12 to 18 our target. We cannot do anything else. This is why I rather wait to send you some of the very specific guidelines, and then we can join efforts and,
That
work
could be
together.
something where the PTO could maybe coordinate to and help with kids coming together. If they can't do it during the school time, maybe it could be something that's held at like 6 o'clock in the evening. And, we have student leaders on this board, this commission, sorry, who maybe could help spread the word. We have the teen center. We could maybe spread the word and get some teams together to have this conversation, but in a structured way, in a respectful way. If the presentation piece is not able to be done.
Yeah, if I may,
Because
this
of
is
other
Natalie Delacruz. I worked with Dr. Haskins on getting that group together, and a lot of those students were from the Human Rights Day, which is a celebration that we have every year at our school, and students are trained to facilitate conversation. So a lot of students had that background of facilitation, which made it easier, but also like hundreds of, maybe not hundreds, like dozens of students sign up to be facilitators. So there definitely is a big desire for students to gain experience like facilitating conversations and having these deep conversations with other students. So if that's something that the grant would be interested in, or just anybody would be interested in, I and Brooks could definitely help find students who'd be interested in that, because there's definitely a big group of students that are interested.
Adults were paired with the students, so they weren't by themselves. They had an adult person paired with them to help them along. And it was just really good way to have a structured conversation, but to, involve the youth instead of being just lectured at. And I'm only presenting it as an option in case the original plan is not granted and we're running out of time. Because like I said, it was a 3-week commitment, 2 weeks of training, one night a week, and then the activity was the following week. So it doesn't take much time. I just don't know how much the grant is towards, like how much it costs.
Sound like we might need to do a broad activity and then follow up with these leaders, student leaders that can continue the conversation and additional training. So let's start with something and then talk about it. So probably will wait for Carl, and then we can create a little subgroup to put this together. So I will follow your lead, Carl, and your recommendations.
Yeah, that's fine, but you had asked for a subcommittee to assist you, and I heard Nordia, and I saw
Natalie.
and from Natalie, and also from Chris. So I think, that is an identified subgroup that you had asked for. Okay. Maybe we could move on then to the new business. We're kind of running out of time. I will quickly tell you the recommendations that I referred to earlier that I had written up for the town council. I'll spare you the intro and just get to the 5 major recommendations. Number 1, establish wellness needs assessment for town of West Hartford to assess citizen and town-wide resources, strengths, assets, unmet needs, and begin to identify possible priorities for coming year. 2, collaborate with UConn MPH program for aforementioned project in time-limited fashion, January to May 2021, in collaboration with Prevention Council and Social Services. 3, establish format and infrastructure for assessment report, provide tentative midpoint report in March 11th Prevention Council meeting, and final report in May meeting. 4, evaluate May report by council, this council, in whole for further review, suggestions, comments prior to final submission to town council. And 5, continue ongoing prevention work, including May's mental health activities, amplified grant activities, assist in organization of community support group, etc. And I'm happy to send this out to the group for your review, and then Helen can forward it along as needed. And any comments or suggestions on that?
Sounds great.
Okay. And any comments you could send to me or Helen, and I'm open to any changes or revisions or whatever. Any other new business?
This is Helen Rubino Turco. I just wanted to let everyone know about the vaccination support team that the town has established. And this was in an effort to understand what residents' problems were, what their concerns are about registering for the vaccination, getting an appointment for the vaccination, providing answers, referrals, and then also just managing their expectations about this process, because it's been hard for people, particularly our elderly community who doesn't have an email address. And so there is a vaccination phone number at the library. So rather than reinventing the wheel, we returned to our friends at the library. They were very much the grand central station of information in the early days of the pandemic, and so they have established an information line, and we've formed a working group that involves social services, our senior centers, the health district, the fire department, and the library staff. And we've pulled in some part-timers from the senior centers to become experts in how to navigate the VAMS system, the vaccination administration management system. And we're also hoping that the library will secure their own electronic medical record system, and that will help anyone that doesn't have an email address. So for example, this will really help our equity issue, older people, but also people who may not have computers at home or who may not have an email address. And it started on Monday. It is from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and on Saturday it's open from 10 to 1. So it mirrors the hours of the West Hartford Public Libraries. The number is 860-561-6998. And people have been calling. We've gotten probably about 40 per day. So we're up at around 100 and, I can check while we're talking. And really within, by the end of the day, I think today I saw there were 116 calls, and there were maybe 4 or 5 that were remaining, that were outstanding, that we were waiting for someone else to call back. So it's really been an amazing process. These people have been working very hard. And most of the people that we've spoken to have just said, thank you for listening. Thank you for helping. And it's just been extremely rewarding for the whole team that's been working on it. And as I said, we've got a nice group of people over numerous departments. The one final thing that is different from other times, so far we've received 185 calls since Monday, just to let you know. Is there the fire department, and so the paramedics from the fire department are teaming up with the health district to go to homebound residents, and they can do 10 in a day, and they are going to, so these are people who have either physical difficulty or can't really leave their house without an aid, and the fire department is going to their home to vaccinate them. We started on Wednesday, we did 10 people, and we're going to, they're going to do it again next week, and this is just an incredible breakthrough for both of those departments, fire and health, to be able to come together and do that. The calls are coming in, sometimes to the hotline, sometimes directly to the health district, and we're putting people on waiting lists for that special service through the health department. So I want to let everybody know that we are being very proactive about reaching out to all of our members of our community, particularly the 75 and over, and now, of course, 65 and up who are having difficulty registering. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Okay. Do we have anyone on the line for public comments? Andrea? Are you still there? No?
No, there's nobody there. No callers.
Oh, okay, great. Do I have a motion for adjournment from someone on the council?
Bob Macus, so moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Howard Deshevsky, second.
Okay, what do you think, Kadzo?
Agreed.
Okay, what do you think, Brenda?
Agreed.
And Jonathan?
Yay.
And Nordia?
Hey,
I agree also, so it's unanimous, and we'll see you Thursday, March 11th. Stay safe, everyone. Stay warm. Lovely seeing you all.
Thank you.
same to you. Great job, Helen and Ashton
Nice to meet you all.
and Carl.
Wow, that was fast.
Second, pursuant to executive order, all speakers must state their name and their title each time they speak. Also, I will ask members of the commission and staff to not address other participants directly. Comments and requests for information must be made to the chair. After you state your name, simply preface your question or comment with the chair, and when we're done, I will recognize the person who is most appropriate to respond. With that, will the town planner please proceed with the first matter on our agenda? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.